Hello everyone, and welcome to this special program about TriCaster Advanced Edition, now with NDI technology. Network Device Interface, or NDI, opens a whole new world of live production possibilities. This groundbreaking new technology is the first of its kind to offer not just a way to send video over a network, but to provide a complete IP workflow infrastructure for NewTek products. TriCaster Advanced Edition is the very first product to implement NDI technology. Well, until now, if you wanted to share video sources throughout a facility, you'd need to route all of the audio, video, and control cabling to a central location in the building. Now, these sources would be interconnected through a patch bay or some kind of routing system, or by physically moving the equipment from room to room. But all of that is about to change because NDI technology provides an IP workflow solution with the ability to share outputs as well as input sources and other control signals with other systems across a standard computer network. You can think of it as the Internet of Things approach to video production. Well, we'll be taking a look at the new NDI IP workflow, along with many of the new features in this release of TriCaster Advanced Edition. But first, I had a chance to speak with NewTek President and CTO, Dr. Andrew Cross, about the development of TriCaster Advanced Edition. Andrew, TriCaster Advanced Edition was released in May of 2015, and then updated again in September with a lot of great features. And now we see another release. What's special about this one?
Well, this is actually a really big release because this doesn't just, add a little feature here or there or a little capability here and there. This actually opens up the whole world of IP workflows to TriCaster customers. So this allows anybody with Advanced Edition to actually really build a full end-to-end IP workflow that allows them to work really as if all inputs are on the network, which is really a dramatic change. And I think, as everybody knows, this is obviously where the industry is largely headed. And so being able to give this to our existing customers in this way is really very gratifying for us. But I think also it's just a huge step forwards, both for the industry, for the TriCaster, and for our customers, quite frankly.
Now, it also actually increases the number of inputs for the TriCaster models, doesn't it?
That's correct. So because these are over IP, you're no longer limited to how many connectors you have on the front of the machine. And so a 4-input TriCaster like the TriCaster Mini or the TriCaster 460, those now have 8 inputs available to them. And the 8-input systems like the 860 or the 8000, they actually increase to 12 inputs. Now these inputs can be over the network, so you could have one TriCaster seeing another TriCaster's inputs, or you can actually use capture cards in an external PC, and those can act as inputs to TriCasters. But yes, this actually gives people far more inputs than they had before.
Okay, so it actually opens up a whole infrastructure to be able to share inputs and outputs from system to system.
That's right. So, the basic philosophy here is you have video, you get it onto a computer system that's somewhere on a network. Now, anybody on that same network can see and use those video sources, those either the inputs or the outputs, freely as if they were local connected to that machine. So if you have a TriCaster 8000 over here and a TriCaster Mini over here, the 8000 can see the inputs that the Mini has. In fact, it can see its outputs too, so you just get access to all of the video sources that are on the network.
Is there any limitation to the number of systems that can share inputs and outputs?
Well, you can have as many of these systems on the network as you want at once. And obviously, you're going to, at some point, run out of bandwidth between the network router and the TriCaster system. But that's, but a TriCaster, say 8000, can handle 12 inputs over IP on a 1 gigabit connection, which is really quite revolutionary. This is, going far beyond, I think, what the even state of the art of things that people have announced out there is. So this is actually, technologically, obviously, a huge step forwards, but really a great advance for TriCaster.
Now, what about different locations? What kind of distance can you run between systems?
Well, that's actually a great question, because really one of the big benefits of IP is that in many ways it connects any computer system in the world with any other computer system in the world, and the distance between them is almost irrelevant. Now, of course, you've got to have enough bandwidth, and we're trying to work on really high quality, high bandwidth connections, but there's really nothing limiting you geographically. You do not need your TriCaster system, for instance, to be in the same room as your camera at all. It can be anywhere as long as you've got enough bandwidth between them. So it can be the same building, it could be one at one end of the building, one at the other. It could be, across campus in another building, or it could be in, a remote facility if you want. And you just need to make sure that you have enough bandwidth between the places. And now the cameras are as if they were local, and you can work with them as if they were local.
Now, who do you see getting the most benefit from this new technology?
Gosh, I think ultimately that this is one of those watershed moments in the industry. This is going to affect everybody. I don't think that this is going to affect a small segment. I think obviously right away this is going to this breaks the geography of installation. So you can have a TriCaster in one room and you can have your cameras in another, and that in itself is a big change, because people have tended to need to build studios one way purely because they had to worry about the cabling, and that's no longer an issue. The moment you move to IP, they can be anywhere as long as they can see each other over the ether, if you will. But I think that it's clearly going to impact far more people than that in the long run. I mean, I think it's hard to imagine that 10 years from now, we're really not, the whole of video won't have moved to IP. So I think it's going to be a gradual transition. But the fact that we're here, really enabling our customers to do this again. I mean, we're really first with this. We're the first people out there with a truly a production system, an integrated production system that was truly designed from the ground up to take advantage of IP, and that's exciting for me. I'm very excited to be where we are.
So the new IP workflow in TriCaster is referred to as NDI, or Network Device Interface.
That is correct.
How is this being adopted by some of the NewTek development partners?
Well, one of the great things that we've done is the first TriCaster that's actually almost 11 years old now. It actually already had the ability to bring video in over IP. So 11 years ago, we had a product that can do this, and over those 11 years, we've worked with a lot of partners. We work with almost all the graphic system and a lot of the playout systems, and at this point, there's about 100 partners that even today, before we ship this product, that support our video over IP. And so we're naturally extending everything we've done to be backwards compatible with all of those systems. So every one of those, you can just put a slight update on that system. The manufacturer doesn't even need to do it. The end user, can actually put it on there, and now that will fully support an NDI-based workflow. Now, one of the things, though, that's actually surprised me is, when we announced this, we've had almost 200 other companies come to us interested in integration in with our IP workflow. So there's really been, we've got, literally thousands and thousands of systems out there that are technically already compatible with NDI, but there's huge interest in the industry that goes well beyond that in terms of integration.
So is it possible that the same technology could also apply to cameras, for instance?
Absolutely. So, I don't want to talk about specifics, but we're working with a very large number of companies which are working on, some really interesting products. In fact, one of the things and one of the goals that we had with NDI was to make something that would really allow the next generation of video technologies to be built. We want to enable some, a smart kid in his basement to make something that none of us in this industry have thought about, that really takes TV and does something really interesting with it. And I can tell you there's a lot of really cool things that I'm seeing being worked on, using this. So, NDI is really enabling. It takes the SDI cable and all the, complexities of traditional video and makes it something that somebody who's got a cool idea that they want to put into practice using a computer system can do. And it's very exciting to be enabling that.
What makes NDI technology different from other IP solutions that are out there today?
So when you look at TriCaster, and you think about IP, one of the maybe the most amazing things is that I've just mentioned, we've actually been doing IP-based video for a long time. So one of the big differences, of course, is that NDI is something that's available in thousands, tens of thousands of systems today, which makes it truly unique. So we're able, because of this integration work that we've done over the past decade, to offer something, that on the day of shipping is accessible to tens of thousands, or hundreds of thousands of people, which is obviously a huge difference over a lot of the other IP-based solutions.
So we're used to working with SDI to send video and audio from one place to another. How does NDI technology differ from that?
Well, I think actually your question was very good because you know, as you highlighted, SDI really takes video and sends it from something, say a camera, to something else like a monitor or a video mixing system or something like that. Now, one of the big differences of IP, of course, is that really it's always a bidirectional link. And so NDI technology really does take advantage of this, where really your sources are always communicating with each other so that things like commands, metadata, control commands, information about the signal itself are always being transferred in real time between the systems, which are one of the things that really allows it to be a really true, good, robust system that allows for lots of channels at once on a single IP connection.
So Andrew, what would you say to other developers out there about NDI technology?
So taking a step back, our goal at NewTek is, we want to see adoption of IP technology. So that's the reason that we're actually releasing really everything we've done. We've spent a decade building this for free, where it's got no royalties. We want to make it easy for anybody, any developer, to have an IP-based solution that's going to work today. And so, we are very happy to work with developers. We're very happy to work with anybody that wants to integrate their system into ours. And we see one of our missions is to enable IP and to enable video over IP for really what I believe is going to be one of the, the big revolutions that we're going to see over the next decade of video technology. So, I would say to any developers, come work with NDI. It's something that works today. It's this is technology that can go into production today, and together we can help build what are going to be the whole, what are going to be the workflows that we're all going to be using in the future.
Now, along with NDI technology, TriCaster Advanced Edition also includes some other impressive new features. Joining me now is Don Balance. Don, what are you going to show us?
Well, Rex, let's take a look at the interface that you get with this new update. First of all, if we look at our main switcher, you'll notice that there are 12 inputs on this 8-input TriCaster. So this new update is actually giving you 4 additional inputs, up to 12 on an 8-input and 8 on a 4-input.
Okay, so we've basically turned what used to be network inputs into NDI inputs and added 2 more.
That's right. And NDI gives us a whole lot more capabilities, but we'll cover that in just a little while. Now, we also have a new interface for the switcher. This has opened up the switcher, giving us more inputs on the switcher. So we now have 2 banks of buttons that allow us to see all of the inputs on the switcher.
Okay, so what that's done is it's basically put every available video source right on the switcher. So not only do we have the physical inputs, the NDI inputs, but also all of the buffers and media players are now right on the switcher panel.
Absolutely, and very easy to get to any of those inputs very, very quickly. Now, we also have presets. Now, the standard edition of TriCaster has always had presets, but these presets have now been put into a palette, and again, we can see exactly what they are and quickly change out the state of our switcher by using those presets.
And it's also changed to be more consistent with some of the other panels in the TriCaster, so you have a lot more consistency right across the board.
Absolutely, that's correct. Now, another great new benefit is the ability to see the sources on your keyers. Now, this used to show me in standard TriCaster just the transition that was being used, but now I'm getting a full video preview of the source inside of that keyer.
It really cuts out the guesswork because you can see exactly what you have in that keyer, and you know exactly what you're going to go to when you push that auto or take button.
It does. Now, here I've assigned buffer 9, and this is a run once and stop buffer, so it starts out on a black screen. I don't know what it is, but you even have the ability to rehearse those types of effects and see them right inside that new monitor.
It really cuts out the guesswork.
It does. You're always going to get that right overlay at the right time. Now, we've also added the ability to export clips during a live production.
So that's similar to the way we earlier brought in the import panel into the live production environment. Previously, for both of those functions, you had to leave the live production environment, do your importing, do your exporting, but now all that can be done in the live production environment as well.
And we've actually combined this export feature with our publishing feature. So not only can you export out to an FTP or to a local drive, and you can transcode to different formats, maybe an editor can pick things up and start editing during the show. But you can also export to social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, all while the production is happening live.
So all exporting has been incorporated into a single panel.
That's correct. Now, probably my favorite feature besides NDI is the new comping window. The comping window allows you to set up different compositions. Now, In this one, I'm using these 3 keyers right here, and we positioned them on the screen to give us this composition. Then, I simply went in and I moved the keyers and I created new snapshots. Now, by clicking on these snapshot presets, the comping window will automatically animate from one to the next, giving you maximum amount of flexibility when it comes to manipulating video.
It really brings traditional type DVE moves to the TriCaster with a very simple interface.
It does, and again, this is really going to allow you to take your productions to the next level.
Okay, Don, now let's take a look at probably the most compelling new feature in TriCaster Advanced Edition, and that's NDI technology.
NDI technology, Rex, I think is going to change the way we all do live production from here on out. It's simply amazing. Let's talk a little bit about the environment that you and I are working in here. I have a TriCaster 8000. It has 8 physical SDI inputs, and 2 of those SDI inputs are being fed by these 2 SDI cameras, and then I have 6 synced SDI sources coming from media players to fill my 8 physical inputs.
Okay, and I have a HDMI TriCaster Mini here being fed with 2 small cameras, and this TriCaster and Don's TriCaster 8000 is connected just through this network switch.
And you know, Rex, because they're both NDI-enabled machines on the same network, I can go to any of the inputs of my TriCaster and pick up, say, the output of your TriCaster.
Okay, now let me switch on this TriCaster. I'll select the camera inputs and mix between the 2, and maybe bring up the keyers. You have that over there?
I do, and not only can I bring up the outputs of your TriCaster, but I can go to a different input on my system and bring in your camera. Another input, bring in your other camera. So the same cameras you're using to do your production are now available to me in my production. As you can see here, we've got a double box effect showing the switched output of your TriCaster and one of the input cameras in your TriCaster being used in a production inside of my TriCaster.
Okay, so not only that, I can bring your camera inputs into my system. So I'll open an input panel on input 3. I'll come down here. I can see your TriCaster. So I'll bring in your first camera, and then on my input 4, I'll bring in your second camera. And now I can mix those cameras into my mix. So now we can share not only sending outputs, but also sharing our input sources between the machines.
And we can both use the same inputs at the same time. And this is really great with 2 of us on a network. But let's take it up a notch.
Okay.
We have a rack of equipment over there, Rex. Why don't you roll that rack in? We're going to fire it up, and we're going to hook it up to the network and see what happens.
Okay. What we have here is a TriCaster 8000, a Chiron IP, a 3-play, and 4 talk shows. And we're going to connect this entire rack of equipment with one network cable.
Now, let's go ahead and take a look at the source selection for any of the inputs in this TriCaster. And this list just got a whole lot bigger.
Sure did.
Now, every single machine that's on the network shows up with its machine name, and every input and output that's available also shows up. So we can now go through and we can very easily configure multiple talk shows into any of these different inputs, or again, any input or output available from any device on the network now available for the live production. Really, really amazing.
And of course, I've got all those same input options available on this TriCaster Mini. Gives you really a lot of new possibilities for your productions.
It's going to change the way we do live production.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Don. Well, you can see the TriCaster Advanced Edition with NDI technology and all of the new features really is a major upgrade for TriCaster systems. It can be added to any new TriCaster system or an existing TriCaster 8000, 860, 460, 410, or TriCaster Mini. So you can start using this powerful new technology in your productions today. Now, if you've already purchased TriCaster Advanced Edition, we have fantastic news for you, because this upgrade with the NDI technology and all of the new features is yours for no additional cost. Well, to find out how you can upgrade your current system to TriCaster Advanced Edition, contact your local reseller or go to newtek.com/IPwebcast. If you're a developer and you'd like to find out how you can incorporate NDI technology into your products, again, go to newtek.com/IPwebcast. Well, I'd like to thank Dr. Andrew Cross for taking the time to speak with us today. On behalf of Don Balance, myself, and everyone here at NewTek, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for watching, everybody.